Chapter 1. My Childhood in a Cage. My name is Jane Eyre. I was an orphaned child. My parents had died of typhus. My mother was the daughter of a clergyman from an aristocratic family, and my father was a man of the lower class. When my mother married him, her family disowned her. After their deaths, I was entrusted to my aunt, Mrs. Reed. My aunt's husband, before he died, had asked her to treat me as her own daughter, but my aunt hated me and did not honor his wish. As a child, the world was a harsh place. No one loved me, not even those who ought to. My aunt's house was full of pride and coldness. Every day, I felt that my place in this world was empty. One day, it was raining, and I sat in a corner of the hall, a book in my hands. My cousin, John Reed, always tormented me. He claimed the books were his, and I had no right to use them. When I protested, he struck my forehead with the book. My aunt, without asking what happened, blamed me and sent me to a mysterious, dark room as punishment. A room said to be haunted by her late husband's spirit. The candlelight flickered, the wind blew, and the walls seemed to swallow me like an invisible cell. I felt fear, screamed, and fainted. After that incident, my aunt sent me to a boarding school for poor girls called Lowood. The cold air, worn-out clothes, and gray walls frightened me, but I resolved to be strong. Among the girls, I found a friend, Helen Burns. She was calm, confident, and full of faith. She taught me that silence can be strength, and forgiveness, freedom. But winter brought illness, and Helen fell sick. One night, I sat by her bed, held her hand, and she never woke up. That day, the world took a part of its light from me, yet something awakened within me. Willpower. I realized that even when you have lost everything, you can rise again. Chapter 2. A House Full of Secrets. Years later, my education at Lowood was complete. I longed to find a job that would allow me to maintain my independence while using my knowledge. When a letter of employment arrived from Thornfield Hall, my small heart filled with hope. I was to be the governess of a little girl named Adele. From afar, Thornfield appeared like a silent castle shrouded in mist. Mrs. Fairfax, the housekeeper, welcomed me kindly, but her eyes hid a secret. Adele, my pupil, was a cheerful but lonely child. She said her guardian, Mr. Edward Rochester, was a great and respectable man, but seldom at home. I first saw Mr. Rochester on the road. It was raining, his horse slipped, and I helped him. As he prepared to leave, his gaze lingered on mine for a moment. The chill of the rain still clung to my skin, but the warmth of his look settled in my heart. Later, I learned he was the master of Thornfield, a serious man with a sharp yet honest gaze. Gradually, a hidden feeling grew between us, but the house was not peaceful. At night, laughter and footsteps came from the upper floor. One night, the smell of smoke filled the air. Rushing there, I saw Mr. Rochester's room on fire. I woke him, and together we extinguished it. When the danger was over, he picked up his coat from a chair and silently draped it over my shoulders. I was still gasping, the smell of smoke lingering. He said he had to find the cause of the incident and left the room. Minutes later, he returned. His face was weary, but a fresh light shone in his eyes. Without saying a word, he took my hand and said, "Miss Eyre, you have saved me from a dreadful death tonight." His hoarse voice in the stillness of midnight carried a strange warmth. I could not answer, only feeling my hands tremble in his, and his gaze. A look that stayed with me for a long time. After that night, his gaze toward me changed. Yet in his eyes lingered a secret, imprisoned within the stone walls of Thornfield. In the following days, even our simplest conversations smelled of mystery. Sometimes, as Adele played the piano, our eyes met in the mirror, and I would shyly hide my face. At night, when he walked in the garden, I would follow the sound of his footsteps from the window, as if my soul moved with him. Chapter 3. Love and Hidden Secrets. As time passed, our relationship grew closer, but in those days, I learned that Mr. Rochester was to marry Blanche Ingram, a proud, aristocratic woman. I pretended not to care, but inside I burned. I decided to leave the house, but he stopped me. When he said, "Jane, without you, this house is only walls," my heart trembled. I didn't know if the expression on my face was tears or a smile. He reached out his hand. I hesitated. But in the warmth of his fingers, I found my answer. Amid a light of sunset and rain, I realized that for the first time in my life, someone wanted me not out of pity, but out of love. He confessed that he loved me and asked me to marry him. He said he never intended to marry Miss Ingram. I accepted and believed in my happiness. But on the wedding day, just as the ring was placed on my finger in the church, a man burst in, shouting that Mr. Edward Rochester was already married. His wife was alive. Mr. Rochester took me upstairs and revealed the truth. His wife, Bertha Mason, had gone mad years ago, and to protect others, she was kept in a separate room. I could no longer stay by Rochester's side. All my trust shattered in an instant. Despite my deep love, I could not remain beside deceit. That night, in the rain, I left Thornfield. Chapter 4. Return to the Light. Days passed in destitution until I reached a small village. A kind family, Diana, Mary, and their brother John Rivers, took me in. John found me work as a teacher in a small school. Sometime later, John brought a letter. My maternal uncle had passed away, leaving his estate to me. I also learned that Diana, Mary, and John were my relatives. I shared the wealth with them, for they had stood by me in hardship. I began a peaceful life, yet my heart remained in Thornfield. One night, without knowing why, I decided to return. I found Thornfield Hall in ruins. Fire had consumed everything. His mad wife had set the house ablaze, and Edward had rushed inside to save her. But she had thrown herself from the roof and perished. And among the rubble, I found Mr. Edward Rochester, wounded, blind, but alive. When he heard my voice, he reached for me. I trembled, seeing all the longing in his face. I said, "I have returned." He smiled gently, silently, and traced his fingers over my face to ensure that he was not dreaming. In that moment, nothing existed in the world except us, and a silence that felt like prayer. I realized that nothing could destroy our love, neither secrets, nor suffering, nor time. We married simply, without any extravagance. At first, Mr. Rochester had lost his sight, and I became his eyes. But 2 years later, some of his vision returned. We had a child and lived for years with love and peace. And now, every moment with him is a reminder that no secret, no pain, no distance can extinguish a heart that loves.